The sound of the vacuum cleaner hummed softly through the empty office hallways, blending with the faint echo of footsteps from the marble floors. It was almost midnight, and everyone had gone home, except for one man. Under the dim light of the cleaning cart, a tall, weary figure in a faded gray uniform pushed a mop along the corridor. His name was Elias Hart, a quiet single father who had been working as the night janitor at Stratford Industries, one of the city's largest tech corporations. To everyone else, Elias was invisible, just another maintenance worker. But to the CEO, who watched from the glass-paneled balcony above, he was about to become the reason she questioned everything she believed about success and worth. Before we go deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen heroes, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps us share more stories that touch hearts and remind us what humanity truly means. Every night, Elias arrived at the skyscraper right as the sun dipped behind the city skyline. His hands, calloused and rough from years of factory work, were always gloved to hide the scars that never fully healed. The staff never noticed him, too busy rushing home to their lives. He worked silently, polishing floors that others dirtied, cleaning desks that others owned, and emptying bins that overflowed with luxury brand coffee cups. Yet behind those tired eyes was a man fighting to hold his world together, one shift at a time. No one knew that Elias had once been an engineer, one of the best in his field. But when his wife Mira was diagnosed with late-stage cancer, he quit his job to care for her full-time. By the time she passed away, their savings were gone, their home sold to cover medical bills, and Elias was left with a 6-year-old daughter named Anya and a mountain of debt. He applied for dozens of jobs but found only rejection, too old, overqualified, or simply overlooked. Eventually, he took the janitor's position at Stratford Industries because it was the only job that would let him be home in the mornings to prepare Anya for school. For months, he lived in silence, cleaning by night, being a father by day, and sleeping only in the spaces between. But that all changed one Friday afternoon when Clara Stratford, the company's 35-year-old CEO, stayed late to finalize a presentation. Clara was a woman known for her brilliance and her cold precision. Employees called her the Iron Visionary, never smiling, never slowing down, never forgiving mistakes. To her, numbers defined value. Productivity measured worth, until that night when she accidentally left her office lights on and saw Elias mopping the hallway through the glass door. She noticed how carefully he worked, taking time to move each chair before cleaning the floor, aligning everything perfectly even though no one would see. It was the kind of diligence she rarely saw in her high-paid managers. Then, as he took a short break, she saw him pull a small paper lunchbox from his bag. Inside wasn't food, but art supplies, colored pencils and paper. He sketched quietly under the fluorescent lights, his brow furrowed in focus. Clara tilted her head curiously. What was a janitor drawing at midnight? Over the next few nights, Clara found herself staying late more often. Something about Elias's quiet perseverance drew her in. She watched as he carefully folded paper cranes, sometimes smiling softly to himself as if imagining someone else receiving them. One evening, she noticed him placing a few of the colorful cranes into a small envelope before tucking it into his jacket pocket. Her curiosity burned. Where was he taking them? The following Monday, Clara asked her assistant to reschedule her evening meetings. She parked a few blocks away from the office that night, waited in her car until Elias clocked out, and quietly followed him. He walked for nearly an hour through the chilly city streets, his breath fogging in the cold air. Finally, he turned into a run-down neighborhood on the outskirts of town. The streetlights flickered weakly, and the paint on the houses peeled from years of neglect. Clara hesitated but continued following. Elias entered a small, crumbling building with a broken sign that read, Sunrise Children's Shelter. Through the cracked glass, Clara saw him kneel beside a group of children, orphans, their faces lighting up as soon as they saw him. He pulled the envelope from his jacket and handed out the paper cranes, each one with a child's name written on the wing. The kids laughed, their joy echoing through the quiet hall. Elias helped them with homework, bandaged a scraped knee, and read stories until some fell asleep in his lap. Clara watched from outside, frozen. Her chest tightened as she saw him carefully lift one sleeping boy and carry him to a bunk bed, tucking the blanket around him with a tenderness that words couldn't describe. This was where he went after working all night. Straight to the orphanage. to volunteer and bring color to lives that the world had forgotten. He wasn't just surviving, he was giving. When Clara returned to her penthouse later that night, she sat in silence by the window overlooking the glowing city. For the first time in years, the view didn't feel like success. It felt hollow. She thought about the man mopping her hallways, the man who gave away his energy, time, and hope to children who weren't even his. And she thought about herself, the woman who had everything but gave so little. That night she couldn't sleep. The next morning, Clara arrived at the office early and asked HR for Elias Hart's file. When she read it, she was stunned. Engineering degree, several patents under his name, and a record of awards from his past career. But what struck her most was the note at the bottom. Accepted janitorial position due to personal circumstances. Clara felt an ache in her chest that she couldn't shake. That day, instead of calling him into her office, she did something different. She showed up during his shift. Elias froze when he saw her standing there in her tailored navy suit, watching him mop the lobby floor. He quickly straightened, unsure if he was in trouble. Clara smiled gently and said, "You're Elias Hart, right? I wanted to thank you for keeping this place running so smoothly. I've noticed your work." Elias blinked, clearly startled. No one had ever thanked him before. He nodded awkwardly and murmured, "Just doing my job, ma'am." She wanted to say more, to tell him she knew everything, but she didn't, not yet. Instead, Clara began visiting the orphanage secretly, making donations anonymously under the name of friend. She noticed new books appearing, walls repainted, and new art supplies that made the children beam with joy. Elias had no idea where the help came from, but he was grateful. He continued working nights, always smiling, always hopeful. Weeks passed, and one morning, an announcement came that left everyone buzzing. The CEO herself was hosting a company-wide event called Hidden Heroes. It was meant to honor employees who had shown exceptional character beyond their job titles. Elias received an unexpected invitation, but assumed it was a mistake. Still, he attended, wearing his cleanest uniform, his shoes polished, and his heart pounding. The event was held in the grand conference hall, filled with hundreds of employees in suits and dresses. As Elias stood quietly near the back, Clara walked to the stage, microphone in hand, her eyes scanning the crowd until they met his. "Tonight," she began, "we celebrate not the most powerful, but the most purposeful. Not the ones who shine under the spotlight, but the ones who bring light where it's darkest." She paused, her voice trembling slightly. "One of those lights is a man who reminded me what true leadership looks like." As she called his name, Elias Hart, the crowd turned. Elias froze. Slowly, he walked toward the stage, confused and overwhelmed. Clara smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes as she continued, "This man works quietly in the night, cleaning what others leave behind. But beyond these walls, he spends his time caring for orphaned children, giving them hope, love, and color. I followed him once. Yes, I did, and what I saw changed me. Elias, you've done more for this city than you'll ever know." The room erupted in applause. People rose to their feet, some wiping their eyes. Elias stood there speechless, his rough hands trembling as Clara handed him a framed certificate and an envelope. Inside was a letter offering him a new position in the company's engineering department, along with full sponsorship for his daughter's education. Elias's voice cracked as he finally spoke. "I just wanted to make my daughter proud." Clara smiled softly and said, "You already have. Now let us help you build the future you deserve." In that moment, the man who had once been invisible stood in front of everyone. Not as a janitor, but as a symbol of quiet courage and unconditional love. Clara's eyes met his again, and she whispered, "Thank you for reminding me what success really means." The video of the event later went viral, touching millions worldwide. But for Elias, the real victory was the smile on his daughter Anya's face when she ran into his arms that night, holding the certificate as if it were made of gold. And from that day on, the top floor of Stratford Industries wasn't just led by strategy and numbers, it was guided by compassion. Clara and Elias became unlikely friends, each changed by the other in ways they never expected. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's keep reminding the world that kindness can come from anywhere, and it can change everything. Special request, comment below with the words, "Kindness lives here." If you believe people like Elias still make the world a better place,